Hi, everyone. This is Dawn, and thank you again for joining me for another episode of The Chamber Within. I wanted to talk to you all today about the phrase holding the light and what that actually means. Holding the light in the spiritual community is a term used where you're surrounded by darkness, or you may be in a situation where things are looking bleak and a lot of people are worried or of fear. And the term can literally just mean lighting the way, like how it sounds, which is actually being the way. So it's little about what you say and necessarily do. It's in the truth of how you are. It is something that's within you. So let's talk first about recognizing the light within yourself. For those of us who consider ourselves resilient, that's a light, right? The ability to get back up when you have been knocked down, to be able to find a smile when you've had the most difficult day, the ability to turn yourself around when many external occurrences would dictate that you should reflect the outward harshness that you have experienced, not turning into a hardened individual, still allowing yourself to have the softness and to be able to give yourself the love and care that you need and to self-soothe, right? That's the light that I'm talking about, the kind of spark within that allows you to keep going. So for me, being alone is how I'm able to kind of regenerate, reflect, and heal, and how I recoup mentally. I like to go over things in my mind, and I'm not very, I'm not a quick reactor. A lot of times I'll experience something, and for some reason, and I've been this way since I was a kid, it'll play out kind of like watching a movie. And someone will say something or do something, and I'm not reacting. Now, sure, there are things that will get a reaction from me. I'm not speaking in that, in a sense where, someone's pranking me or someone's trying to get a rise out of me, winding me up. When something happens that's so out of pocket or so wild or left field or completely disrespectful, sometimes I'm just like, whoa. Can you relate? Do you know what I mean by that? Like, just wow. And I don't have a response at the time because this is such a different experience for me. So when I say that I like being alone, because sometimes I need to process or unpack something that has been difficult to, in the moment, um, either respond to, relate to, react to. I'm just needing to uh, kind of have a playback. And so maybe I'll react a little bit later uh, to that um, external stimuli. And so holding the light is being able to um, remain stable or remain grounded in an unwavering knowing, a knowing that this too shall pass, whatever it may be. It was on my heart to talk about this week, but also it's something that I kind of reflect on from time to time. Being the light means to shine on whoever, whatever, whenever, and of course, wherever, indiscriminate of outside influences. The sun shines on every living thing. The sun does not hold its sun rays um, to the exclusion of any living thing on this earth, including ticks or wasps or whatever you may think is a nuisance, poison ivy, um, alligators, great white sharks, whatever. The light does not discriminate. In many of the spiritual texts that I love to read, it talks about this light. If you are to hold that light, you are to hold it steady for all, not just those you agree with, those you like, you love, maybe those people over there because they seem okay too, but for all. Of course, there are many references in the Bible about Jesus being the light of the world, and the references of a candle lighting up a dark space. But being a light is being a beacon for illumination for others to see, right? Let's say you're in a dark room. Things may very well seem bleak and perhaps scary when there isn't a sight to behold at all around you, whether this is a literal or metaphoric sense of the word dark, right? If everything is dark around you, it can be scary, of course. A light that shines in any dark place fills that room with brightness, with color. It instantly changes what was before you previously. It gives you perspective. Imagine being amongst a room full of adults who were scared because they didn't have access to what you have, which is peace and knowing. They are in a dark space because of the fear, because of not knowing, making the room a very scary place to be. In a sense, very much like a child would be afraid of the dark. To you, the room is like any other room where you can make out the walls, its furniture, where you are in relation to everything else. And sharing this mindset, this information, this outlook, or just being yourself in the nature of your peaceful vibration, this is the light to be held up high. You know, the guides talk about being and not doing a lot, right? Often, I should say. They talk about being instead of doing often. Being is not taking action, but it's an expression of your love, how we look upon one another as part of ourselves, as in God is in all things. All the things you see, everywhere and in all things, illuminated and in the dark, right? How we see each other is important, very important. You think you look at someone and you're like, look at that so and so over there, that it has no effects. It very much so has vibrational effects. I think I spoke of this when I was talking about if you would have walked into a room and there was just an argument in that room, you'd be able to feel that energy. Well, yeah, that's a collective angst. It's angry energy that you would feel. You could feel that, just like you could feel a room filled with love. Well, you know what else? When you send those thoughts to someone, send it their way, it's very real. It's a very real act. So how we see each other is as important as how we treat each other. That you can't fake. That you can't, get around. It is an act. It's a mental act. It's an act that you do with your heart, but it is an act still. How you see each other, how we see one another. I totally get having differences, right? But you don't get to tell another person who is also an aspect of God, an aspect of I am, that you don't agree with how they choose to express themselves, right? They are free to express themselves and are free to learn the lessons they need to learn through that expression. Simple as that. Liking and loving are two different things. I know we all have family members that we love dearly. People in our lives we love dearly, but we may not like them. That's okay. That is okay. But that is proof in the pudding that it is possible to love someone you may not necessarily like, that you know. So we can try to do it with people we don't know, right? I read about love a lot, unconditional love I've spoken of, and the love of Source, our God, and how it feels when it is given. I know how it feels. I'm speaking to a number of people. I know you show up for me every week, and I appreciate it. And I would hope that you, in your own example, have a way that you've received it or you've given it where it is just a feeling that it is inexplicable. There is no rhyme or reason. It is just so, right? So I, for a while, was focusing deeply on how that expression can be allowed through me. I didn't create it, but I can be a vessel for it. And I really strive to work through that. So I know what it's like to not like, but still love deeply, especially when we remember who we are. Being the light is not about being better than others, of course, because we are all beings of the light. Being the light is about realizing who you truly are and staying in that place as much as you can to be an example to allow others to shine as well. It's easy to be the light in a well lit room or on a sunny day, right? This is easy. Being the light and knowing who you are, regardless of the external conditions that you perceive all around you. A light is most useful in the dark. That's the challenge. That's the part that I know that I struggle with at times because I often feel like perhaps people only reach out to me when they are in the dark. And now I understand it. I get it now. To be able to tap into the endless well of well being and joy and goodness doesn't deplete you. Again, being a vessel means it comes through you like a pipe. Like you turn the faucet on, you turn it off. You turn it on, you turn it off. I am not the source of well being. It is that is God, source of all things, of all there is, that runs through all of us, that gives us the life that we have, the loving life force that is deep within us. I would like to say something that I noticed um, distinctly so when coming back into my body of the few times that I can remember coming back into my body upon waking. What is so interesting is the feeling of the weight of my body and the mental notes that run through my mind. And one of the last times that I came into my body, and it wasn't anything spectacular, um, like the other three distinct times where I could see myself, but I remember laying on my back, as I'm often waking up on my back, coming back into my body, and instantly worries, bills, how I feel, does my head hurt, did I get enough sleep? Like I'm not just encapsulated into a body, but a way of being. So being is how we are. And we don't really take note of that, how it can affect us, obviously, how it can affect others. But I had such an epiphany because I was just a lot lighter before I got back into this Dawn body, because Dawn has a lot of things she's got going on in her mind, a lot of heaviness, a lot of weight, a lot of, in that moment, I was like, man, this is really unnecessary. I was feeling great. Here she goes with her freaking issues. And I was thinking, this is me. But is that me? Not really. Not if I'm looking at it from a third person point of view. And I was like, it doesn't have to be me. I can not worry. I cannot stress. How you ever think about that when you first wake up and that's the first thing on your mind are your problems and your bills and your issues? Like, whoa, I'm just waking up. And so I had to practice waking up with gratitude. And so I just wanted to say that because I hadn't wrote it down. I haven't given it voice, but distinctly so, I remember coming back into my body and then heaviness. I'm like, oh my goodness. I always thought that was just my stuff, just me, just how life is. That is just inherently what being alive means. And no, it doesn't have to be. So remember that you are light, continue to hold the light, and no matter what, if ever there is a downtime where things seem a little bleak, this too shall pass. Things are always changing. Life is always occurring, and chaos is always happening. But remain steady in who you are. See others for who they are, which are all aspects of God in the flesh. So They may not remember, as some of us do, and that's okay. But I just wanted to get that off my chest this week. I wanted to finish with a quote that I have from the book called Earth Pleading Keys to the Living Library by Barbara Marciniak. She also wrote Family of Light, but this is from uh, Earth, the book called Earth. It is time for you to make a commitment to create joy, creativity, and love for yourself. Only then will you benefit others. For if you do not evolve yourself, you do not serve others. By becoming a living example, by following what is in your heart, you show the way for others to follow with courage what is in their hearts. So I'll leave you with that. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please feel free to email me at thechamberwithin@yahoo.com. You can also leave a comment on my YouTube page. The handle is at the Chamber Within. Thank you so much for joining me again, and I hope you have a wonderful week ahead of you. I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.